Hello, hello, welcome back to Spellbound. I'm BJ the Book Witch, and this video is going to be a little bit different. This is a Booktube newbie video. So yes, even though I have been with Booktube for a little while, I still feel like a newbie. So I'm going to do what I never did in the beginning and actually make an official introduction video using the Booktube Newbie Tag questions and introduce a little bit more about my channel and the types of videos that I make that might be similar to some others that you like, but also the types of videos that I make that I haven't seen anything like here on Booktube, and maybe that will be interesting to you too. So let's get started. So first things first, my name is BJ, or BJ the Book Witch, whichever you prefer, and I live here in sunny Orlando, Florida. And I'm a writer. I write DE&I, or Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion training programs for companies, firms, or corporate brands, but I actually have a pretty creative background and spent the first almost decade of my career writing for Disney. And all that changed in 2020, which is when I first decided that I wanted to come to Booktube. So the first question is, why did you make this channel? And that's kind of easy. Now that my career and my work does not occupy 150% of my creative well like it did when I was writing for Disney, I actually have time and space to read for pleasure where I didn't used to. And with that comes a lot of bookish thoughts and bookish opinions. I read so much in 2020 and I had so many things to say that was what inspired me to create this channel. Question 2, what are some fun and unique things that I can bring to Booktube? So I do think that I bring a pretty unique perspective to Booktube outside of my regular monthly wrap-ups where I talk about books and rate them that I've read that month. I usually read in themes. I'm a huge mood reader. TBR lists make me absolutely stressed out. I usually pick a topic, whatever topic I'm thinking about or interested in, and then I go ham on that topic for like a month. And then at the end, I wrap it up talking about the topic overall and how those books participated in either like spoke to or differed from what I expected. So topics have been in the past mermaid lore, pirate politics, fairy tale retellings, Peter Pan retellings, witches, and like right now I'm really interested in the Anastasia and Romanov period. I don't know why, I am. So I read in topics. But in addition to that, I also have 2 types of like specialty episodes or videos that I make, and I haven't seen any other booktubers make or talk about books in this way. So the first example is Book Both Ways, and this is where I talk about books as both a reader and a writer. And I don't mean like I, in my infinite wisdom as a writer, am analyzing the grammatical syntax or structure of a book. Like I'm not deconstructing it. What we're doing though is we're looking at the things that we enjoy as readers and putting words and language around them so that we can keep reading the things that we like. So some examples of those types of videos are strong female protagonists, appreciating romance as a genre, and also enchanted or enchanting settings. And the second type of episode or video that I do is called tabled content. And this is where we look at books as artifacts within current discourse. So that's a lot of words. What does that mean? It just means we're looking at books as representations of culture. So we're asking questions like, why was this book written now? And what does it say about the world around us? Why are witchy books so popular in every genre? Censorship, cancel culture, revenge as a plot device, representation, and why is Peter Pan so popular with millennials? Question 3 is, what are you most excited for about your channel? And this is super easy. What I'm most excited for is connecting with other readers and other book lovers. I love sharing opinions and lifting and sharing voices and cultures so that everyone's world can be richer. And I just have a huge passion for storytelling, and I can't wait to connect with other bookish people. Question 4 is, why do I love reading? I love reading because I love storytelling. Stories connect people and stories connect peoples. And I am a storyteller. It's the part of who I am. And for almost a decade, I told stories using some of the world's most recognizable IP, from Buzz Lightyear to C-3PO. And now I use and elevate stories to help create a more inclusive and fair workplace. Stories matter. And without an audience, without readers or listeners, stories can get lost over time. Question 5 is what book got me into reading? And that was Junie B. Jones Has a Peep in Her Pocket. It's number 15 by Barbara Parks. So hysterically funny that I wanted everyone around me to experience it with me. It wasn't the first book that I read, but it was the first time I felt absolutely compelled to share a story with other people. So to this day, one of my favorite things to do of all time is to read Junie B. Jones out loud. I love eliciting that reaction from other people and sharing a funny story. Question 6 is what questions would I ask my favorite booktubers? I would probably ask what is their favorite way to read, and also what book world would they most want to live in, if any. I say that and ask that having the answer to it not. I ask that question hypothetically, first of all, because they're not here, but also not having an answer myself. I have no idea what book world I would want to live in, but I think that that's a fun question to ask. Question 7 is what challenges will I have to overcome in creating this channel? Well, first of all, the channel is already created. I think that's been established. I think the biggest challenge to overcome is my own perception of success. So it was December of 2020. Went to my partner and said, I'm going to create a booktube channel because I just have so much to say about books and it's not super fair that I keep you up until 3 a.m. just talking and talking about books every single time that I stay up to read one. And I need a platform for that, and I want to engage with other bookish people. I decided early on that I did not want to determine success by the number of followers or subscribers that I have. And that success is based purely on my enjoyment of creating these videos, and also if I'm proud of the work effort that I put into these videos. And I am. At the end of the day, though, the question is what is the challenge to overcome? And I think the challenge to overcome here is being okay with that. Question 8 is when did you start reading? Similar to the other question, I don't really know how to answer. I started reading when I was like 4, I guess, and nothing to say about that. That's a weird question. When did you start reading? Like, is that a flex? Question 9 is where do you read? I think that this is a fun question. The short answer is everywhere. Like, the shorter question is where don't I read? And I don't know. I don't even know if there's an answer to that. I read literally everywhere. If I'm sitting still and not actively engaged in obviously a conversation with someone else or working, I'm reading. You know, and a lot of people, they just are like really impressed, and maybe it is impressive, but I don't think of it this way, like that I read a lot. You know, I read a lot of books, between 100 and 200 books a year. That's a lot of books. And people are like, oh my God, how do you do that? How do you do that? And it's like, because I'm always doing it. And question 10 is what kind of books do you read? So the answer is I read a little bit of everything, but I read a lot more of a few things. So I read a lot more of fantasy and YA fantasy. Those are my absolute favorites, but I also do read some historical fiction, literary fiction, contemporary romance. I've started getting into graphic novels and manga, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I read this much history. I'm really trying to get on board, but I just can't vibe with history. Even in school, it was never really a favorite subject of mine. I will say my brother is a history professor, and I do enjoy sneaking into his classes and pretending to be a student just so that I can like hear history in a way that makes sense to me and is entertaining, because he's a good teacher. But I'm trying because I think it's important to read outside your comfort zone. And I also read a lot of nonfiction, mostly nonfiction on race in America, the way that race intersects with the political ideology of Christian nationalism. My favorite topics to read about, like bonus points if the books that I read have any kind of adventure, curses, magic, fairies, pirates, mermaid, female friendships, violence, and my favorite plot type of all time is revenge. I love a good revenge plot. My second favorite type of plot is a Faustian type of plot or a Faustian setup. Would sell my soul for a good Faustian time. But you don't see a lot of that in fantasy, which is a bummer. It's mostly in literary fiction. So this video was short and sweet and to the point, and I hope it tells you a little bit more about me, BJ the Book Witch, as a booktuber, and a little bit more about my channel Spellbound. I hope that you come back, and I hope that we can engage as fellow readers and book lovers. So thanks so much for sticking around. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you loved it or are interested in any of the things that I said, please consider following and subscribing. Take care, and as always, happy reading.